Hello students, our next topic is 2D weaving pipeline. So in this session we are going to discuss about the procedures that are required for displaying the two-dimensional pictures on the output devices. Okay, so your output device may be a laptop or a PC or a mobile phone or tablet, anything it may be, but we just want to display the 2D images on the screen. Okay, so how to do this particular procedure? See, whenever you are going to consider any images, so these images will be initially in the form of world coordinate system. So as we know it, in the previous videos we have seen these topics, is it? So we have the entire images in the initially in the form of world coordinate systems. Okay, so later these world coordinate systems are being converted to screen coordinates. When it is being displayed on the screen, you have to convert it to the screen coordinates. So how to do the clipping process when you are going to do all this process or transformation from world coordinates to the screen coordinates. So suppose if you have considered the image here, you have a two-dimensional image, and now suppose this image is very big image. Now you want to display a selected window. Okay, select a two-dimensional scene. Okay, so that you are going to clip off the other images which are outside this particular window. Okay, you are going to only display the content which is inside the clipping window, and here now you are going to convert this contents whatever there was in the world coordinates to the screen coordinates. Okay, so now you have, after clipping, you are going to place this particular window actually on the screen. Okay, so I say here in the world coordinates your window will have its own values like xw minimum. So this is you have a width for the window and height for the window. So now the width is actually described with xw minimum. So this is a minimum value in x coordinate, and the other side you will be having xw maximum as well as y minimum and yw max, is it? So now this particular clipping window you have to map onto the screen. Okay, so what exactly you may be doing? So this coordinates whatever you define here will not be same as your screen coordinates. So this screen coordinates will be different, is it? So again this xw minimum has to be converted to xv minimum, and yw minimum also has to be converted to yv minimum, and similarly you have xv max and yv max. Okay, so then you can imagine, see here, if suppose the clipping window is very large here, you can have a smaller window in the when it is being actually displayed on the screen. Okay, because your viewport can be a bit different from the exact clipping window. Okay, so that means this size of the clipping window will not match with the size of the viewport. Okay, sometimes it will be matching, but still most of the cases your clipping window size will be varying with the size of the viewport. Okay, it may not be same. So that's why we represent these points as a different point. So that's why we represent it by xw minimum. And see here, a clipping window, uh, what we call for this actually what is the meaning of this clipping window? So suppose what we want to see on the screen. Okay, so you don't want the entire object to be displayed on the screen. Only you're going to select a particular portion of the screen, and you want to display only that contents on the screen. So what do you want exactly to display on the screen, or what exactly you want to see on the screen? So that is being actually clipped off. So that's why to do the clipping process we have here clipping window as well. So now this after clipping you are going to have a viewport. So where do we want to see it exactly on the screen? So your display window, so when I say here, for example, you have you have a monitor. Okay, you have a monitor. So now, okay, now you may be having inside the monitor, you will be having a display window. Okay, so remember that it's a display window. Again, inside the display window, you may be having a viewport. You are going to define a viewport. So this is viewport. So actually, in the graphic systems, you can control where exactly you want to show your viewport. You can give the point values. Okay, that may be, I say, xv minimum, yv minimum, or xv maximum, yv maximum. So these values can be defined by you, and you can manipulate it as you wish, and you can display this viewport uh, wherever you wish, okay, wherever you wish. Okay, you can display it on any location on the display window. So now this is your actual monitor. Okay, you will be having a monitor, and this is your display window. Okay, display window, and inside the display window you have an viewport. Okay, understand that. So this is what the actually functioning of viewport. So let us see in detail. So in this example, again we are going to consider a clipping window. See the clipping window in the world coordinate system. So you have a clipping window where you have clipped off certain images that is outside the clipping window. So only selected area is being selected here to display on the screen. So again, when it is actually mapped, the world coordinates, when it's being mapped to screen coordinates, we will be having the image that is being displayed on the viewport. Okay, so here see that you will be having a boundary for this clipping window, is it? So the boundary is defined by xw minimum, yw minimum, and xw max and yw max. Okay, so now you can perform the uh, zooming effect for this particular clipping window. Okay, so that means your window, whatever the with the size, certain size will be having for the clipping window, you can enlarge this particular size. Okay, as you wish. You can display it in a very bigger manner, or zoom in operations also can be done. You can display the viewport in a smaller manner also, the same clipping window. Okay, remember that you have a same clipping window, and you can display either in the larger size or in the smaller size. Okay, so your viewport can be manipulated as you wish. Okay, with the help of, again you have a boundary points here, that is with the help of xv minimum, yv minimum, yv max, and xv max. Okay, you can alter the shape or the size of the viewport. Okay, not the shape, it is actually the size. Okay, so here when if you want to display the multiple viewports, okay, so that on the screen, that is also possible. So same image, okay, you can show in multiple viewports. So that means you may have the image in different locations on the screen. Okay, in the display window actually. Okay, when I say it's all displayed in the display window. Okay, so multiple viewports are also possible. So you can change the position of the viewport. Okay, you can either keep it on the very bottom side of your screen, or upper portion of the screen. So as you wish, you can alter the positions of this viewport also. Okay, so this is about viewport. So let us see the coordinate representation. So whenever you are going to display any object, initially your object will be displayed, or you can say that it is being initialized using modeling coordinates. Okay, so this modeling coordinates has to be combined to form world coordinates. Okay, So after world coordinates, these world coordinates will be converted to projection coordinates, and then this will be converted to normalized coordinates. Is it? So for this particular normalization, we have a normalization function also. And remember that these normalized values will be between -1 and 1. Okay, so it will be between these values. So then again, this normalized coordinates, you are going to map it to device coordinates. So whenever you are going to transfer any modeling coordinates, so whenever it is being in the form of XYZ coordinate system, is it three-dimensional XYZ coordinates, you are going to initially define the any of the object in modeling coordinates. So MC represents modeling coordinates. So one by one mapping will be done, and finally your device coordinates will be in the form of 2D representation, because your computer screen will be finally a flat plane. So that's why we need a two-dimensional coordinates that's actually displayed on the screen. So that's why first initially you will be having all the coordinate values in 3 dimension, and later finally when it's being actually displayed on the screen, it will be in the form of 2 dimension. Okay, so xdc comma ydc. So let us see two-dimensional weaving transformation pipeline. So before that, understand what is two-dimensional weaving transformation. So mapping of two-dimensional world coordinate scenes description to device coordinates is actually called as two-dimensional weaving transformation. So as you have seen in earlier slide, we have converted the world coordinate scene to device coordinates finally, or world coordinates to device coordinates. So this kind of transformation is called two-dimensional weaving transformation. So sometimes this transformation is also called as window to viewport transformation or windowing transformation also. So let us see the pipeline figure here, weaving transformation pipeline figure. So initially your object will be defined in the form of MC, that is modeling coordinates. Okay, and then what you have to do is construct the world coordinate scenes using the modeling coordinate transformations. After this step, okay, now you have world coordinates. You have to give the world coordinates as an input to the next transformation function. Okay, so you are going to actually here do the conversion of world coordinates to weaving coordinates. Okay, after this process, the weaving coordinates, whatever you get from this particular action, will be transformed to so here to normalized coordinates. So when I say normalized coordinates, it will be in the value between -1 and 1. Okay, so it will be between these two values, and these normalized coordinates are given as an input to the next activity, that is you have to convert map normalized coordinates to device coordinates. So final output will be in the form of device coordinates. So this is our weaving transformation pipeline. Okay, so whenever in the exam if they ask draw the two-dimensional weaving transformation pipeline, you have to draw this figure and explain the actions. Okay, so once a world coordinate scene has been constructed, okay, we would set up two separate two-dimensional weaving coordinate reference frame for specifying the clipping window. OpenGL two-dimensional weaving functions. So actually the basic OpenGL library has no function specifically for two-dimensional weaving, since all the functions we are going to have are designed primarily for three-dimensional applications. But we can adapt the three-dimensional weaving routines to a two-dimensional scene as well. So we have certain graphics library, so that is GLU utility and GLUT functions also we'll be using, and let us see in detail how you can set the projection mode in case of OpenGL. So before we select any clipping window and a viewport in OpenGL, we need to establish a appropriate mode for constructing the matrix to transform world coordinates to screen coordinates. Okay, so we have a particular function called GL matrix mode, GL underscore projection. in OpenGL. Okay, so by default you can you'll be having a function like GL matrix mode, GL underscore matrix mode as well. So that is a different case. We have discussed that particular action or function in the earlier slides, but now let us discuss about this GL matrix mode, GL underscore projection. Okay, so here it actually transforms the world coordinates to screen coordinates. So you will be having a matrix where this matrix will be transformed from world coordinates to screen coordinates. So that's why we have this particular function. So after you call this function, we also have to initialize GL load identity also. So this is actually needed to just ensure that we enter whenever we enter a projection mode, the matrix will be reset to identity matrix. So you know what is an identity matrix? All your diagonal elements will be 1. Okay, rest will be zeros. Only diagonal elements will be ones. So whenever you are going to have an action behind the screen, okay, this all your pixel values will be in the form of matrices, is it? So these matrices has to be, it should not be combined with some other values. So this projection mode also, when you are going to set that projection matrix, will be having certain previous values. Okay, so your previous values should not be combined with the new values whatever you are going to enter. Okay, so whenever you are going to enter into a new projection mode, then you are going to you are going to reset the previous projection mode matrix with the identity matrix, so that your previous values will not be combined with the new projection matrix values. Okay, so that is why we have a GL load identity uh, function here. Okay, so just to reset the identity matrix, okay, so that your new viewing parameters will not be combined with the previous one. So to define a two-dimensional clipping window, we have a function called GLU ortho 2D, XW minimum, XW max, Y minimum and YW max. So that means if you want to define a clipping window in your function, in your program, okay, you can define it using GLU. Remember that this is GLU, not GLUT, it is GLU. And next you have ortho 2D, okay, two-dimensional figure it is. So two-dimensional clipping window. So you have got its boundary values. Okay, so boundary values will be with XW minimum value, okay, X minimum, X max minimum and X max, and Y minimum and Y max. Okay, so this is how you are going to define the orthogonal 2D clipping window. OpenGL viewport function. So let us understand what is an viewport initially. So suppose you have an screen or a monitor. Say you have a monitor, and inside this monitor you will be having a display window, is it? And inside the display window you are going to actually have a viewport. Okay, so now all your images whatever you have selected using a clipping window will be displayed within this viewport. Okay, so you can have multiple viewports inside the display window, or you can have a single viewport also. So let us see how to define this viewport. Okay, so this viewport can be defined as with the function GL viewport XV minimum, YV minimum, and viewport width and viewport height. Okay, so you're going to define XV minimum, YV minimum. So that is the leftmost corner you have, that is in the viewport, and you will be having also width of the viewport and height of the viewport. Okay, so that is what the meaning here. You are going to define with 4 parameters here. And Next thing is you will be having to define the coordinates of the viewport uh, with respect to the upper right corner also. Okay, so how do you calculate the upper right corner of the viewport? Okay, so coordinates from the upper right corner of the viewport are calculated using certain formula. So again, to calculate, that is xv max, that is uh, xv max and yv max. Okay, you will need to calculate xv max and yv max. Okay, so to calculate the xv max, and that is the top upper rightmost corner of the viewport, we are going to take the values of x minimum and y minimum. Okay, so you will be have to calculate xv max, we consider xv minimum plus the width of the, so you have xv minimum here, is it? Okay, xv minimum plus its width, you have certain width you will be having for the viewport. Okay, so that value plus xv minimum is, if you're going to add up, you will be getting xv max. Similarly, yv max will be calculated as yv minimum. Okay, yv minimum and addition, you'll be having an height, okay, up height. Okay, so that you get exactly where you have to have a yv max. So that is how you calculate the position of our upper right corner of the viewport. Okay, so coordinates of the upper right corner of the viewport. And now next, suppose if you want to create a multiple viewports, you can also create using our OpenGL functions. And suppose, so when you are having multiple viewports, say for example, you have created a viewport, behind that another viewport you have. So you have created a multiple viewports, but the current active viewport, you can say the first one, the uh, foreground uh, viewport you have no here. So that is the actual current viewport, you can say. Okay, so to get the parameter values for this current viewport, currently active viewport, we have a function here, gl get integer v, gl underscore viewport comma vp array. And again we consider this vp array, it is a 4-element array. So what do you may think, this 4-element array, what this array may consist of? Array will consist of the uh, 4 different values, that is xv minimum, yv minimum, vp width and vp height. So that is viewport. So one current viewport you want to display now, think that, so that is the current active viewport you want to display. So its parameters, so when you are defining initially, you will be having you have defined with the 4 parameters, so these values will be retrieved here. Okay, so you have to get that information uh, using this particular function. Okay, so to obtain the parameters of the currently active viewport, you have to call this function. So let us see how to create a glut display window. Okay, so you have to understand what is a display window. So suppose you have a monitor. Okay, you have a monitor, and inside the monitor you have a thing that you are going to create a display window. Okay, and this display window has got a cross mark. Okay, so how to initiate the display window that has to be displayed within the monitor screen? Okay, so we need to initialize glut with the following function, that is glut init argument count comma argument vector. So we have three functions in GLUT for defining the display window and choosing its dimensions and positions. So we have three functions again. So let us understand what is this GLUT init function. So this function actually acts as a glue between the GLUT library and the display window. Okay, you behind your when you are working with your programs, okay, actually you are being actually connected with certain GLUT library, is it? So you want to glue this GLUT library with the display window. Okay, so there should be a relationship between the GLUT library and the display window. So that is being created using this GLUT init function. Okay, and we have three functions in GLUT for defining a display window and choosing the dimensions and the positions of the display window. So how do we note it is GLUT init window position. So this one gives the screen coordinate position for the top left corner of the display window relative to the top left corner of the display window. So you have a window that has to be created, is it? So display window you have to create, and its window position, where exactly you have to display that window, that position is given by x top left comma y top left. So that means from here you are going to count relative to this position, you are going to show where exactly you have to display the window. Okay, so screen has got certain end point at the left topmost left corner, is it? From there, in which position exactly you want to display, so that position you are going to write within these two parameters. Okay, so that is the position, window position on the display screen. And then GLUT init window size, so you need to give the size for this window now. So you can choose different values. So suppose if you want to display the window and on an entire screen, that also can be done, but you can display a smaller window as well, that is with the help of width and height given for the init window size. And then GLUT create window. So now here there is some space inside the display window. You have got a space here to write the title. Okay, so here GLUT create window, you are going to give the name for the particular window, so that is title of display window. Okay, you can write anything, program 1, program 2, or CG1, anything you can write. So you are just giving a name to your display window, so that will be actually placed or specified in the uh, topmost portion of your display window. Okay, here near to the close button you will be having a title. Setting a GLUT display window mode and color. Various display window parameters are selected with the GLUT function. So first one we have GLUT init display mode, and within the bracket we are going to write mode. So this particular function is to choose the color mode, whether you have to have a RGB color mode or index color mode. So which kind of buffer you want to have, combination of buffer. So that is being actually defined here. So that is using GLUT init display mode. You are going to have a mode inside the, this is a parameter you are going to have. So then GLUT init display mode, another function we have GLUT init display mode. Within the bracket we are going to write GLUT underscore single or GLUT underscore RGB. So whenever you are going to actually display any content on the screen, the color information or the coordinate information or all will be stored in the frame buffer. Is it? So you'll be having a buffer there. So now this buffer, so the buffer can be a single buffer or a double buffer. So suppose if you want to display the still images on the screen, so that is the still images means the images which does not have any movements. Okay, so then you can choose a single buffer. So that's why we choose here glut underscore single. Suppose if you want to have a movement uh, of the image, or you want to have a animation like images on the screen, that is with the movement, then you can go for glut underscore double. Okay, and next you have an or operation here, and then glut underscore RGB. So this is a color mode you are going to specify glut underscore RGB, or else you can also write it RGBA. Okay, so A represents alpha. Okay, so that is a mode we are going to set here, glut underscore RGB. So this is one function, and next function we have GL clear color red green blue alpha. Okay, red color. So here, suppose if you want to clear your background, now think that your display window has to be cleared with certain background color. You can choose values for this red, green, and blue and alpha. Okay, so I can take here. See alpha, when I say it will have only two values. It can be 0 or so the values can be ranging from 0 and 1. Okay, so 0 if you are actually selecting your background will be a transparent background, and 1 if you are going to select it will be a opaque background. Is it? So that is about alpha. And here uh, suppose if your background color has to be in a red color, then you can choose write as GL clear color 1.0 comma 0.0. Okay, and 0.0, then comma 1. If you write, then you'll be having a red background color. Okay, so background for the color of the display window is chosen in RGB mode with the OpenGL routine. And then you have GL clear index. Inside the bracket you're going to write index. So what is this clear index? So you will be having a color lookup table in your OpenGL systems. Okay, so where this parameter index in this particular function, index is actually assigned an integer value corresponding to the position within the color table. Okay, so using that values that is present in the color table, the background will be set. Okay, it may be red, black, any color it may be set, but depending on the value it has been chosen from the color table. Okay, so this is also again to clear the background itself. Next function we have, that is glut display window identifier. So whenever you have multiple windows, display windows, think that it will be overlapped one by one. Okay, so you have to identify the windows now. So to identify the windows, multiple windows, we need identifier. Is it? Window identifier. So that is the function here we have named as window ID. Okay, so this is actually being used to identify the window, which window you are using currently. So that is equal to glut create window. Within the bracket you are going to write the name of the window or the title name, whatever you have given for the window, particular window that is being displayed in, you will be going to write here. Okay, and that is finally displayed whenever you are going to call the current window. Okay, and then to delete the glut display window, suppose you have think that you have multiple windows that is being displayed on the screen, and you already have identified the windows with its identifier. Okay, that means we'll be starting with the values 1 2 3 like this. Okay, numbers will be giving. So now this window, a particular window, maybe I say fifth window you want to delete. Hmm? So how do you delete that? Okay, so to delete that you need an identifier again. Okay, so this is deleted. So glut display window can be deleted using glut destroy window. Inside the bracket you can give the ID of the window. Okay, and then current glut display window. So here one more function we have, uh, glut set window with an window ID. Okay, so now suppose if you want to move the background display window to the front. Okay, suppose if you want to bring it to the front, or you want to display the current display window, whatever you wish to display in the front, foreground you can say. Okay, so then again you have to call the function as glut set window. Okay, so here again we are going to assume that we have multiple windows, and now we are going to call a particular window to front. Okay, of for front you can say. Okay, so that is glut set window, window ID with an ID. So that is already defined for a particular windows. Okay, so using that ID only we are going to call it to the front. Hmm? So that is glut set window, window ID. And then we can query the system to determine which window is current display window. So that is also possible in our OpenGL functions. Okay, so here you can query the system itself to determine which window is being actually currently displayed. Okay, so that is given by current window ID. Okay, you have to write this, that is equal to call this function. Okay, current window ID is equal to glut get window. Okay, so this gives you the information about which is the window actually is being displayed, or the current display window you can say. A value of 0 that is being returned by this particular function. uh, if there is no windows that is being displayed on the screen, then this particular function will return the value as 0. Okay, so you don't have any IDs suppose. Okay, then the will be ID value will be 0. So that means there is no display on the screen. Okay, next one we have, that is relocating and resizing a glut display window. So already you have a display window thing that is being already displayed on the screen. Now you want to change the location of the display window, or you want to resize the display window. So then what you can do is you can do that process using, see here, first if you want to change the position of the display window, then you can use the function as glut position window with values x new point top left, that is new top left position, and y new top left. So that means the top left corner of the display window gives you the position of the window. Okay, so that is how we are going to mention here. Okay, you can give any values for this particular function. And then similarly the function resets the size of the display window using the glut reshape window function. Within the bracket we write new width and new height. Okay, display window new width and new height, so that you can change the width and height of the display window. And then suppose if you want to, you have a smaller display window, think that you have an entire screen but you have used only a small portion of the window, screen to display the display window. So then what you can do, suppose if you want to maximize your existing display window to an entire screen, suppose you want to display it in the entire screen, then you can call the function as glut full screen. Okay, Another function we have for relocating and resizing the display window, that is glut reshape function. Inside the bracket we have parameters window reshape function. Okay, so this is an actually a callback function. So what do you mean by callback? Callback function, you have to understand. So this particular function will be called again and again uh, in your particular program, just to maintain the aspect ratio. Okay, so you have given a thing that reshape function. When you are calling this, you are actually given with the new width and height. Maybe you have already passed new width and height to the to uh, change the shape of the window. Okay, and now you want to maintain that certain shape. Okay, maybe I say the aspect ratio of the window has to be maintained continuously. So to do that, we have this particular function, because this is a callback function. It will be called again and again to maintain that particular shape. And next you have managing multiple glut display windows. Another function we have, let us see that in detail. Managing the multiple glut windows can be done using following function. So you have here first function as glut iconify window. So till now we have displayed the entire display window on the screen. Now just you can show that window as an icon in the iconic form, or a small picture you can show. Okay, to just to show that window. Uh, or you can say it as a symbolic representation of a window can be done using glut iconify window. Okay, so this function has to be called to make your window as an icon. Okay, so now you have to give the title for the icon. How to give? You can call the one more function as glut set icon title. Inside the bracket you can write its icon name. Next, suppose you have already given a name for the window. Okay, that is set as an icon. Now you want to just change the name of the window. Okay, name of the window, whatever you have given earlier. So then you can reset it using glut set window title. Inside the bracket you can give a new name for the window, whatever you wish. Okay, here they have written new window name has to be written here within the bracket. And next, we have if suppose multiple windows are being displayed. Okay, you have to manage it now. So I say now, if you want to uh, you have multiple windows which are overlapping. Okay, and you want to bring one of the window onto the screen, in front of the screen. Okay, then what you can do, you can just call the function as let set window id. So you have already given the name for the windows. So suppose I have multiple windows, one by one it is being overlapped. Okay, and now this you have already given the names, sorry, ids for the windows. And now suppose you want to bring back fourth window to the front. Okay, so then what you can do, you just have to call the id, window id. Okay, so that is called using glut set window id. And then you can call one more function as glut pop window. That means popping means bringing the background window to the front. And in similar way, suppose if you want to move the front window, maybe I say the first id you have here, number one, is it glut set window id, you can give as number one. Okay, and this window has to be pushed back to the background. Okay, that time you can use a function as, for doing that process you can call the function as glut push window. Okay, give the id which so this is id is to represent which window you want to move back to the back in the display list, display windows. Okay, so using that id you can just push the window back to the uh, screen. Okay, and then we can also hide certain windows. That means, so suppose if you have here, think that 1 2 3 4 windows you can see overlapping, but you want to take a current window of the screen. Okay, current window is now 1. Is it? Now you want to hide this window. So then you can do the function, call the function as glut hide window. Okay. Similarly, you can return back the hidden window back to the screen, that is using glut show window. Glut sub windows. So suppose now if you want to display a window, okay, so already you have a window, think that, and within the window you want to create one more window. Okay, so again the main window has got a close button and a sub window also has got close button. Okay, so within a window you want to display another window, so then you can create it using the function glut create sub window with its, so you have to give the window ID now, okay, which is a number to just identify the window, and then you have to define x bottom left, y bottom left, and width and height of the window whatever you want to display. Okay, so sub window you can create using this. So this window ID just identifies the display window in which you want to set up the sub window. So this window ID is actually the window ID of the display window, main display window. I say here the main display window is the larger display window you have now. That ID it's showing. So within that window you have to create one more sub window. Got it? So that is the meaning here. And next we have selecting a display window screen cursor shape. So now to identify any icon, or if you want to show a particular object on the screen, you are using cursors, is it? So to define a shape for the cursor, you have a function here in OpenGL, that is glut set cursor, with the within bracket you are going to write shape. So this parameter shape can take any of the four, uh, you can say here you have glut cursor up down. So I say glut cursor up down means you may have a cursor shape with this, like this structure, and you might have seen in your PC rotating like structure also for showing the cursor, and watch shape structure also can show, that is using glut cursor weight. Okay, you have glut underscore cursor up down, glut underscore cursor cycle, glut underscore cursor weight, and glut underscore cursor underscore destroy, like a skull or crossbone icons also you may have just to show the cursor. Okay, cursor shape. So this is any one of the four you can choose for showing the shape of the cursor. Viewing graphics objects in glut display window. So we have a particular function here, glut display function. Inside the bracket we are going to write picture description. So this is a particular callback function. So whenever I say callback function, it is this particular function is called again and again. Okay, so your display window contents has to be renewed continuously. So that's why we need to have a callback function in this manner. So whenever you say think that you have called glut pop window command. Okay, pop window command is being called whenever you want to bring your window to the front portion of your screen. is it? So that time you have to call back the picture descriptions whatever is being displayed on the current window screen, is it? So picture descriptions is nothing but the, maybe you say the window, inside the window whenever the display is being going to happen, you will be having the values, maybe coordinate values, picture information, pixel values, okay, what color it has, the object has to be displayed, uh, all the values we call it as picture description. So this picture description function has to be called again and again, okay, okay, and that is actually mainly called whenever you use this particular function, that is glut pop window, okay. And then one more function we have, glut post display. So suppose you think that you have already had a display window and you just called a menu, okay, menu function. Menu means once it will appear and then again it will disappear from the screen, is it? So what has to happen? It has to be again your this has to be cleared and you have to go back to the original uh, window background, is it? So then your display window has to be renewed again. So that time you are going to call glut post redisplay. Okay, so whenever you use the menu functions, then you will be using this kind of function. Okay, that is glut post redisplay. Executing the application program. When the program setup is complete, the display windows has to be created and initialized. We need to issue the final glut command that signals the execution of the program. So whenever your program you are going to write, okay, lengthy lines you'll be writing inside the main. At last you will be writing one function called glut main loop. Okay, so this, why this is being called at last? Okay, see here. Uh, uh, your program will be running continuously, that means your lines will be executed continuously until you press any key on the system, okay. Maybe you say keyboard or a mouse you will be generally using to interrupt the system. So until that time your program has to be in a continuous loop, means your pixels has to continuously it has to be displayed on the window and it has to show certain images on the screen. It is a continuous process because there will be a refreshing of the screen continuously occurring. That's why we need to show the elements to the screen in a very continuous manner. So that's why we have a loop there, okay, just to execute your program in a continuous manner until when it will occur, until you give an interrupt, okay, maybe through a mouse or a keyboard. So this is about executing the application program. Next, some other additional glut functions also we have. So we will also be have to familiar with this, okay. So that is glut idle function, and again in the bracket we have function. So when this will be actually called glut idle function. So it is sometimes it is convenient to designate a function that has to be executed when there are no other events for the system to process. So suppose if your system is idle and it does not do any process, then you have to give some work for it, is it? So then you will be calling as glut idle function. Okay, so that is glut idle function. Inside the bracket we have written function only. So that is one, and next you have glut get set parameter. Okay, so this is also one more function. So if you are this particular function will query the system about the current uh, information about the windows, okay, that is state parameters we say. So what may be the state parameter? This symbolic, it is a symbolic constant You can give any of the values. It may be a glut window x or glut underscore width or glut underscore screen underscore width. Anything you can choose from out of three. Okay, if I say glut window underscore x, so that is, if you write like glut get, okay, function will be written as glut get. Inside the bracket you will be writing glut window x. So suppose that is what you have written, then the system will return the x coordinate position for the top left corner of the current display window. Okay, and next, if you are going to call like glut get, inside bracket if you are writing glut underscore window underscore width, then it's going to give the width of the window, whatever your current window you can say. Next, or if you are writing glut underscore screen underscore width also, then also it gives retrieves the current display windows width or the screen width. Okay, screen width you can say.